Hey there, welcome to Leader Talk. My name is Kevin Bullard. I'm the Chief Leadership Officer here in the city of Garland. So happy to have you with me this month. Today, our guest is Markeef Fluellen, and he is the Cultural Arts Supervisor. And welcome, Markeef.
Well, just blessed to be here and glad to be here.
Good.
Yes.
I want to tell you this. I recall like I would, well, I'm still getting to know you, but I would just see you around different parts, and every now and then I would be over at Granville, and I'd see
Uh-huh.
you over there, and it's probably a couple of months ago. I was thinking about who I wanted to interview, and you came to mind,
Right, right.
and I told Amy, she's like, absolutely, and so I'm
Wow.
glad you're here today.
I feel like I'm just blessed by God to be here to sit down and have this discussion. So excited about it. Excited about it.
Excellent. All
Yeah.
right, well, let's get at it. So your primary uh, place of work is over at the Plaza Theater.
At the Plaza Theater, yes.
So let's start out just start by telling us a little bit about it, like some of the history and.
Yes, the Plaza Theater opened its doors in 1941.
Okay.
Showed its first movie there, Western Union movie. So it opened as a movie theater. It was one of the three movie theaters at the time in Garland, in downtown Garland area. But it was it was kind of one of the main pinnacles of downtown.
Yeah.
And so over the years, the in 1950, the movie theater took a little renovation, and that's where you see the sign, the marquee outside.
Okay.
It got a different kind of feel to it, 1950s feel, and so from that point on, the Plaza Theater kind of it continued showing movies, and then I think around about the 70s, around about the 50s rather, the television kind of took over during that
Sure.
time. People started staying home watching TV, so the movies started slowing up a little bit. Eventually, it turned into kind of a performance place. I know at one point it was the Opry House,
Okay.
where the Garland Opry would go in and do country music concerts, and so it was used to do a lot of performances of that nature. Eventually, the theater just kind of ran down over the years, and it was donated to the city of Garland in 1991,
Okay.
and took upon a renovation, and it opened up its doors in 2001.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. Number one, I'm
Yeah.
gonna see if I can get some type of vote or something where we can change
Okay.
the marquee to Markeef instead.
You might be able to do that. You know.
And here's the second thing. So tell us what's happening at the Plaza Theater now, and then segue into what your day-to-day duties look like there.
Okay, what's happening at the theater now? We're setting. We just had a load in today for theatrical performance, stage play.
Okay.
This loading in on today, and they'll start. They'll do a stage production first show on this weekend, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the company Rowlett Performers that's moving in, so they're there quite a bit. We have a couple of groups that come in quite often, like this group and the Brightling Youth Performing Arts. They'll come in quite a little children's stage group that comes in quite often each year.
Got it.
And so, yeah, they keep us pretty busy.
Got it. All right. And based on when
Yeah.
you're watching this, that performance would have already happened, but since they do come in a few times a year, be on the lookout to
Yeah.
see if they
Oh,
come
yeah.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We're always busy. We get through with one performance during the weekend, and on
yeah.
Monday it's setting up for something else.
Got
So my day-to-day process is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I usually come in about 8 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
Gotten accustomed to coming in a little bit early than that because my main goal is to just sort of speak my way of saying wake the building up.
Yeah.
And so we get everything cut on, sound system, lighting system, turn the lights on, and I make make my pathway through
Yeah.
the facility, through each restroom, go to the theater, go backstage, and just make sure that the building is getting ready for operation before I start operating. I want the building to wake up and kind of like take up on a person, so to speak. Wake up and get ready to start when I start.
That's kind of what it sounds like. I like that phrase, like wake the building up and
Yes,
checking
yes.
in, making sure everything is as it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Yeah, a lot of people say it sounds crazy, but yeah, it's when you've been there for so long, you want to make sure that it's operating properly.
Sure.
You may come in one day, so you may find some surprises, and you don't want anybody walking into anything that's that doesn't supposed to be. It may be a flood. It may be the building forgot to get cleaned or something
Yeah.
like that, and it gives me time to make adjustments and have the building ready, to serve.
I like that, and that's like a leadership lesson in there. Is the
Yeah.
what's the old saying? Inspect what you expect,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's exactly what you're doing, right?
Exactly. And so after I make my rounds through the building, all the lights are on, and the marquee time clock is going on. So it lets me know it's still running.
Got it.
We sit down and we open up emails and listen to voicemails, and we make ready to make contact with incoming clients and look at the calendar, look at the schedule.
Yeah.
Because I also oversee our custodial staff, our building attendants, and our maintenance worker, and so I supervise that staff as well. And so we're looking at the schedule to see who's supposed to be where. We may follow up through that and make sure everything is ready to go. Because what they're responsible for cleaning the Granville Arts Center and the atrium and the Plaza Theater. So we oversee all the custodial staff in all those three areas, making sure that they have all the tools that they need to operate and do the work that they need to do to keep our buildings looking great.
Right.
So my mind is everywhere.
Sure. Got that. All right. So let me ask you this. Obviously, with the Plaza opening in 1941,
Yeah.
there's a lot of history and tradition behind it.
Yes.
And at the same time, we're now in 2025 and a completely different audience in 1941.
Right.
And so it's important to innovate. So how do you balance that, like preserving the tradition, but also innovating?
Well, the cultural arts, we put together events that kind of collaborate the two, the 2 years. A lot of times, I know when we first started, we started out doing classical movies. Back during that time period, the 40s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, we did a lot of movies. And we started doing that in about 2012,
Okay.
projecting the movies onto the back color screen on the stage, deep behind the stage. Later, we installed a projector screen that comes down in front of the audience to make it more movie, have a more movie experience. And so what we do, we continue that tradition since 2012 to show movies, and kind of evolved in our movie showing to cult classics and some more modern movies mixed with some old classics.
Right.
So that kind of keeps the crowds, kind of in tune with the history
Right.
of the theater, at the same time seeing the modern day aspect of it. So we do a lot of stuff that kind of enhances, try to keep people's mind on the historical aspect of the building. We actually do tours. I know the Heritage Crossing bring in children tours.
Right.
And the most exciting thing about that is that they'll come in, they're little bitty children,
Yeah.
and we have the painting, the galleries of the old downtown Garland. And the Plaza Theater sits right there, the first painting there of the old 1941 Plaza Theater.
Right.
And they're looking around. I introduced them to the theater, and I said, "Well, you see that picture right there?" I said, "That painting right there, you're sitting inside of that building right there." So it takes them back. They're like, "Wow."
Right.
So it kind of takes them, when you explain the history of it, it takes them back a little bit, even though they're in modern time.
Got it.
And so we're constantly doing that on a daily basis with visitors, people that come in and just want to just tour the place. We also interact with people that were around during the time that they were showing movies there.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll come in and they'll tell us the stories about being up in the balcony, throwing popcorn down and stuff like that. So it helps us both ways. It helps us to understand the history during that time, their interactions inside the building.
Yeah.
And when they come in and say, okay, I remember when, this was happening during that time. And so, but then at the same time, they're looking at the theater as it is now, and they're curious about what we do now. And so we begin to explain.
Yeah.
Go into explanation of what we do, and how we carry on, our performances and stuff like that.
Okay. As you were talking, I was listening to your response through this lens of, so often there can be this battle of, well, this is how we've done things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got that camp, and there can be a camp of, well, we need to do this. And I think, and I think at the core, all of us, or we live in both camps. It just kind of depends on what the situation is, or at least what our passion is in this particular topic, whether we want to keep things as they are or advance them. But one of the things I heard is that you said that you all hear from the people who were going to the theater early when it opened, and hearing their experiences. And it made me think about how whenever we do get in a situation where, change needs to happen, but there's something about knowing what came before and why, and not changing just for the sake of change.
Well, the city of Garland did an excellent job when they came in and renovated the place. I can remember when my first experience as somebody that came in and wanted to lease the facility for a church program.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 2001, shortly after it opened.
Yeah.
And we leased it to open up our ministry and our church program. And the seats wasn't quite settled into place, but it had a new, a modern day experience. They had the 1950s, knowing that it was in a 1941 structure with the 1950s deco and the modern technology that goes with it. So it exceeds time.
Yeah,
it's sort of like sitting in a time warp,
Right.
And but we had a very good experience there for the first time, and the second year that I came into the space, I wanted to lease it again because I was excited about being there.
Yeah.
And I ran into a business manager, the person that was a business manager at the time, and she was talking about, well, we kind of need some help keeping the place clean. And said, well, hey, I'll do it. I'll take upon.
Yeah.
I'll take upon that responsibility. And so I ended up getting hired as a part-time person, and it's kind of ironic that I'm back over there now, as a supervisor, cultural arts supervisor, managing the facility that I first came to and first fell in love with. And so that's kind of like
it's a great
extraordinary right there.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that. So I forgot to ask you that up front. So was that, I guess, 2002 or so?
I leased it beginning in 2001.
Okay.
But you've
been with the city, like a city employee, for how long?
I've been a city employee a total of 22 years. I worked a year
years.
part-time and then the rest of the time full-time. So.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. So let me ask you this, all right? So part of leadership is adapting when things just don't go right. So I imagine, I mean, you said you've got folks, there are different companies coming in and there's setup, there's takedown. I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, yeah.
So many moving parts, lots of logistics. Things don't go right all the time.
You're
How do you
absolutely
and your
right.
staff adapt to that? Or how do you as a leader, how do you encourage your staff to adapt to things not going as planned?
Well, the good thing about it, we have a good team,
Mm-hmm.
good leadership team. Our manager, our business manager, the technical coordinator who oversees all the technicians, and our staff, a technical staff, and we as a technical staff come together each week,
Okay.
and we discuss the events that we just came from, the events that are coming up. We discuss issues, problems, and that we may have had, or some of the staff may have had through that week, and then we figure out how we're going to resolve those issues going forward for the next show. But in one thing that we have all learned together, and we can all agree with, is that expect the unexpected. We are equipped to troubleshoot constantly.
Yeah.
And so we're going to run into problems. We're going to run into issues in almost, every show. Because when you're dealing with technology and logistics
Sure.
or setup, something is bound to go wrong.
Sure.
But we plan carefully. We look at the situation. We see what's coming in, gathering all the information that pertains to a certain show, whether it be at the Arts Center or whether it be at the Plaza Theater. So we carefully plan and look at everything from every angle. And so we know the buildings so well that, and that's the importance of understanding the building and how it operates. It's your technician. It takes on a person of its own.
Yeah.
And so when you know that person or you know that building, that you half the battle is already won, because when you run into issues, you know how to take care of those things, and you know what to go get, you know where they are, and you know how to deal with any issues that may come.
Got it.
Sometimes things get a little bit hectic. That's anytime you're dealing with live performance,
Yeah.
you're gonna have those issues.
So give me an example of like one of the like wildest or craziest or most stressful issues you ran into and how you handle it.
Well, I have to think back, and this is really before I was managing the Plaza in the early years in 2009. I wasn't a cultural arts supervisor at the time.
Sure.
It's go too far back. But it's still in that same capacity now. And when I first went over to the building to take charge of the building, I had this group from India. We have a lot of the Indian groups that come in and do cultural performances, horn-getchums and stuff. And so we had this group to come in, and we had issues with the sound system.
Okay.
Sound system I wasn't too familiar with. I was familiar with it, but not integrated in it to understand what all the problems were with the system. And we had this tower close by, radio tower, and the soundboard was picking up radio signals.
Not good.
And so while the Indian group was playing, we would also listen to a baseball game.
Oh my gosh. Who's on first?
And you could hear it clearly,
No.
It was this baseball game going on, and they ran in the office. They say, "Hey, somebody's talking. Somebody's talking to the system." And I went out, and I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't know the system well enough to understand it and how to resolve the issue, because it was unsolvable at the time because it was coming through every single channel.
Wow.
And so afterwards, I kind of felt really bad. The group was angry. They had a right to be. But after that, we worked it out. We got it resolved. But at that point in time, I told myself, understand this building and how it breathes. Understand every aspect of it. know your exits, know your breaker boxes, know how the marquee operates, understand how it breathes because it will take care of you if you take care of it.
Yeah.
And so when I approach clients, I have my partner with me, and the partner is the building itself. And so we, when you become, I guess somebody may say, well, shoot, you've been there too long. But I do know that when you take care of it, it will resolve a lot of your issues when you understand how it operates, how the light board operates, the soundboard operates,
Yeah.
what technical issues could occur, and if they did occur, what you can go to real quickly to fix that problem.
Got it.
Yeah.
I love how you've personified the building. Like you talked about the persona it takes on. You talk about waking it up. You talk about it breathing and how it's a partner.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I've got one more question I want to ask
Yeah.
you, Markeef. Maybe a couple more, but here's the first one. I want you to share one of the biggest leadership mistakes you've made and how you recovered. What'd you learn and how did you recover from it?
I think that may have been one of the biggest ones that it wasn't really a mistake, but one thing that I learned out of that when it came to managing is that you rely on your team.
Hmm.
Rely on your team because you're not in this by yourself. And when you got a effective team around you to things that you don't maybe not necessarily be acquainted with, that
Yeah.
there's other people that are gifted in areas where you're not so gifted. Even though you're a leader and you know a lot of stuff about the facilities, there's always somebody that knows a little bit of intricate details in other areas. And so you have to rely on your team because, a quarterback can't win the victory by itself. He needs an entire team.
Right.
And so I've learned from that. And I can remember the business manager at the time telling me, said, call somebody. We're here for you. Call somebody because you sometimes you get it as a leader. You get in a mindset that you have to do it by yourself, or you when it comes to that area of responsibility.
Yeah.
But you have a team, you have a manager, you have a business manager, you have the marketing staff, you got technical staff that you can always reach out and say, hey, look, what do you think about this?
Right.
So the Plaza, being a legacy of its own, it need a team to express what it has to offer.
Yeah. I like the humility that you are expressing as you talk. Is like as a leader,
Yeah.
you don't have to know it all, and you've got folks around you who have gifts as well. And
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
humble and the wise thing to do is to
Right.
utilize that team.
Yeah,
So,
because your work is more effective with a team. And one of the main things that I've learned over the years is that God has given us all gifts, and what and He's given us those gifts to not for ourselves, but to express, to change situations that are around us. And so we have to identify what those gifts are and utilize those gifts to the best of our ability. And it builds trust.
mhm.
It builds accountability, and people can depend on you.
Sure.
And so, yeah. So when you think you got it, something's gonna remind you that you really don't.
You ain't got it.
You really don't have it like that.
Right.
Call somebody.
Exactly. Because there just
But-
might be a baseball
yeah,
game.
yeah,
starting.
yeah. Because I may have to rely on somebody else's gift.
Yeah.
And this is all for the team, and
Right.
and to express and to reach out to the community, to help change a culture. Because we can't do it on our own. We just need the whole entire staff.
Got it.
And so when we're thinking about how the plaza can how the plaza can reach out for people can understand its legacy, and understand what it's doing now. We have a marketing staff that reaches out and sends out that information, gives the history. We got workers that can explain that history in person.
Mm-hmm.
When people walk in, we have residents that's been living in Garland all their lives, pass by the building and say, "I've never been in there."
Wow.
And when they come in and they tell me that, oh man, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to preach, dude.
Let me tell you about the Plaza.
Let me tell you something about this Plaza.
All right. Well, thanks. Well, let's close with this. Give me your top leadership quote, like a quote that moves you where leadership is concerned.
Oh, I think I touched on it just a little bit. I always think biblically because that's the inspiration that drives me every day.
Mm-hmm.
And my accountability is just not to myself or to my boss, but it's to a higher power. And so what I do when I'm at the Plaza, what I do when I'm on my own and I have to make sure everything is ticking just right, I'm responsible for making sure that he's pleased with my work. And through that, I'm always driven by Proverbs 18:16. Say your gift will make room for you, and it'll bring you before great men. And so that's the drive, and when you have that understanding, everything comes natural. You don't have to pretending you're doing it.
Yeah.
You don't have to cheat.
Yeah.
It comes naturally. Serving people come naturally. Loving people come naturally.
Right.
And so when people enter into the Plaza Theater, they know that, they don't know what they're coming into, but when they leave with a smile, knowing that that they have been informed and they have been blessed to even be there.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's one of the things. It's that internal gift that comes naturally.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Markeef.
Oh man, are we done already?
Yeah, that's it. And it goes fast, right?
It does.
And thank you for tuning in and watching. I'm hopeful that you heard Markeef say something that inspires you in your leadership, maybe challenges you in your leadership, and certainly makes you want to keep striving to be a better leader. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, this is Kevin Bullard. See you next month. Bye-bye.